So, anyways, Destructor Goji had his two great warriors to keep an eye on the keep an eye around the earth so that way they can make sure that no Ghidorahs arrive. Of course, a few arrived, but Destructor Goji and his people ended up taking care of them in the process. Over this huge amount of time, he was taking care of Dagon and teaching him how to become a good king. Then, later, about a couple hundred years later, Dagon was a teenager. I know this might be surprising to you because he's not like an adult yet, but yeah. Anyways, Destructor Dagon was of course a juvenile Godzilla, while his father on the other hand was getting way too old. Basically, he was not as young as he used to be. He can't continue the role as King of the Monsters, let alone he can't continue fighting the Great War between the Kongs and his species. So he had to prepare Dagon, but unfortunately, before he actually got his chance and opportunity to prepare Dagon to become the next Alpha, unfortunately, the great mighty King of the Monsters, Destructor Goji, was assassinated by Muto Prime. Not the same Muto Prime that killed Dagon. This one is actually the father of that Muto Prime. Luckily, Dagon tracked Muto Prime down and killed him, taking back what belonged to him after first ripping out the embryos of the new Mutos and crushing them. Then he buried his father's carcass. And then he took the role as the new king of the monsters. All the monsters respected Dagon and his role as Alpha. He then tracked down Khan's father, who became the new Alpha of the Khan species, and they agreed to have peace with each other because, like a couple of months ago, Khan's father actually saved Dagon from Dagon took care of the two male Mutos, but Khan's father saved Dagon from a female Muto. And so, Dagon and Khan's father decided to declare truce. But unfortunately, Paradis was still an island that was hard to trust, and Dagon decided to make that island as his territory. And if you're wondering, does Godzilla know about this yet? Your answer is no. He does not know that Dagon basically claimed Paradis as his territory. But he will find out eventually in the remake episodes of Godzilla and Mikasa, the Incoming of Darkness series. Yes, there's going to be a remake of it. Mainly because there are some things that didn't just seem right to me, and there's some things I wanted to fix, so yeah. Anyways, like I said before, Godzilla will find out that Dagon basically claimed Paradis as his territory. And if you're wondering, why was not Godzilla born in Paradis? Well, basically Dagon wanted to live with his first wife, which is female Millennium Godzilla. And if you're wondering, who is that? That is Godzilla Ultimus' mom. Yes, I was planning on saving that for Godzilla Ultima's backstory because, well, if you're wondering, when are we going to see that? Very soon. I just need to get a few things before we begin the origin story for Godzilla Ultima. And the series is actually going to be called Godzilla Ultima's Journey. So I know you guys are going to be really hyped about that because pretty sure you guys are wondering how did Ultima become the king of the Hollow Earth and why he was not seen or heard from by his little brother. And also, this series will also be explaining on why Ultima has a deep, burning hatred towards mankind. He takes Parody as an exception mainly because his sister-in-law is a human being. And plus, he likes Parodies. And the people of Parodies like him. So therefore, he has no problem with the people on Parodies. But anyways, Dagon, when he first met female Millennium Godzilla, he was immediately in love. And believe it or not, she was in love too. But over time, Dagon ended up finding out that his girlfriend has a burning hatred towards mankind, and she reveals that he had a very bad experience when it came to the humans in her childhood. They gave her a massive scar on her right side of her body. And of course, one of her dorsal spines got cut off. And it's having trouble to regrow back. So, well, not regrow back, but it's basically making it difficult for her to fire her atomic breath. So, Dagon completely understands this, but tries to convince her to at least change her mind about the human race. Of course, this does not work out, and Dagon wanted to break up with her, but he just couldn't, because he was in love, and he just wanted to have a queen by his side so that we can keep the monster kingdom in balance. Because if he didn't get a queen, and eventually, then the monster kingdom is going to go unbalanced. All the monsters around the world are going to end up fighting each other and end up, basically trying to kill each other and basically become the new Alpha, replacing Dagon. So, Dagon, he just couldn't break up with female Millennium Godzilla, so he just couldn't. Over time, he proposed to her and she said yes. And the Monster Kingdom had a queen. But Dagon was still having a bad feeling about his wife. But a few months later, she confessed that she was pregnant and that Dagon was going to be having his first ever child. And if you're wondering, where is Parody about when this is happening? Well, apparently Parodies was having trouble to communicate to the world. And the whole world was against them. And remember, this King Ghidorah did not appear until when Godzilla was born. Basically, so don't expect him to appear early. But there were other Ghidorahs who made their way to the planet, and Dagon ended up killing them. If you're wondering, right, does he remember what happened to his little sister, or no? But he does remember that these three-headed creatures are very destructive, and they're very dangerous, and therefore they cannot be trusted. That is the only thing that he actually does remember. And, of course, a couple of days later, Millennium Godzilla laid her egg, and for the past 2 months, they've just been waiting for Ultima to hatch. When Ultima hatched, Millennium Godzilla decided to give him the name Ultima, but Dagon was against it at first because it sounded a little too terrifying, but it really did not sound that terrifying. So Dagon agreed to have his son be named Godzilla Ultima. Over time, Dagon's appearance started to change, and that is when he looked, well, how the way he looked when you guys saw him in Godzilla's backstory. And of course, Dagon's relationship with Millennium Godzilla was not going out well, because mainly she's been teaching Ultima bad and basically things, and not teaching him on how to become the next king of monsters, even though it's technically Dagon's job, but Dagon is having trouble to be a father, a husband, and while being a king at the same time. So therefore, things were looking difficult for Dagon. So then he decided to divorce Millennium Godzilla. She was furious, and she just walked away. She didn't even say goodbye to her own son. Which that kind of made Dagon a little mad. And he really wanted to kill his own ex-wife, but if he did that, then Ultima might end up hating him. So then when Dagon finally had his moment to teach his son to become king, Ultima told his dad that he had no intention on becoming king of the monsters, that he was to become king of the Hollow Earth. This surprised Dagon, because there hasn't been a king of the Hollow Earth since his grandfather died. And if you're wondering who is his grandfather was basically his grandfather was named Fire Goji, and Fire Goji died by 5 Muto Primes, because Fire Goji was just a little bit more dangerous than his son, who is in fact Destructive Goji. Anyways, moving on. So Dagon was very shocked, because there has been a king of the Hollow Earth since his grandfather died, and no one has ever taken the place of becoming king of the Hollow Earth. And he realized that if there's going to be, if his son Ultima's going to be king of the Hollow Earth, he needs to find another suitable mate to find. He needs to basically find a new suitable girlfriend, date her for a little bit, get married to her, and then have another child with who might be a little interested in becoming king of the monsters. And of course, like his mom, Ultima ended up having a very similar hatred towards mankind. Only this time, well, I won't reveal why Ultima hates mankind more than his mom does, because I want you guys to see it in his origin story. So, stay tuned for that. Like I said, I don't know when it's going to come. I just need to get 2 figures, and then that's it. So, yeah.